What's up, everybody? Sean P here for week number 1 of the NFL season. Now, this will be the last video I'm doing on Team Take'em. I'm going to be moving all of my other content for sports and everything onto my own YouTube channel, which is under Hang with Sean. Now, this will be the 5th year I'll be doing picks. I started way back in 2010-11, I believe it was, on my I Live to Win channel. Me and Billy B did a season there. Then we moved over to Team Take'em. We added Jason P. It's been a fun ride on Team Take'em, but we've both decided to go our own ways. I know Billy B made a video on this channel letting you know where his new YouTube channel could be found, and he put a link there in the description, so check out that video if you want to see where Billy B's picks are going to be. Jason P hung up the cleats and retired. He decided that prognostication was not for him. However, I've decided to keep going with it since I've had 4 seasons and haven't had a losing season yet, which is pretty impressive. All right, so I'm going to give my picks here on this Team Take'em channel for the final time again. So if you want to follow my picks, you want to see all that stuff, you're going to have to go to Hang with Sean on YouTube, and I'll put the link in the description below. With that, let's get into week 1. Now, I did this little thing since it's the 5th year I'm doing it. I went back and looked at all my week 1 picks prior to this year. Against the spread on week 1, I am 9, 2, and 2. And then over-under week 1, I am 1 and 2. That's a pretty damn good record in 16 games, picking 4 games each week against the spread over the course of 4 years. 9, 2, and 2 against the spread, 1 and 2 over-unders. So with that said, also my lock of the week was 2 and 1, and my upset special was 0, 0 and 1. I pushed that the first year. If you remember, we used to do upset specials rather than locks of the week. Okay, so with that, let's get into my first pick for this week. My first pick for this week, and I'm looking at my screen here where I have my picks all set up for you guys, is going to be the Miami Dolphins, who are -3 against the Washington Redskins. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game for the Dolphins. I think that the Redskins might actually get a couple touchdowns too, so I don't expect like a 35-3 type game. But I do expect the Dolphins to win by at least 10 points here, so I think 3 points is pretty safe. So let's go ahead and take the Dolphins -3. Okay, the next game I like here is going to be the Detroit Lions, who are +3 against the San Diego Superchargers. I like Golden Tate to have a big game here, and I like the Detroit Lions to go ahead and win this game outright. But let's take them +3 just to be on the safe side. Side note, I think Amir Abdullah looks really good. Okay, let's go with the third game here of the week. I like the Kansas City Chiefs, who are +1, going against the Houston Texans. I like KC to win this game outright. I think KC is a bit overrated as a team, but adding Jeremy Maclin is going to be huge for them. They also get back Jamal Charles, who's completely healthy this year. And let's be honest, the Houston Texans on offense kind of stink. They've got Brian Hoyer at quarterback. I don't really expect much from their offense. They're also missing Arian Foster. I really don't see the Texans moving the ball in that tough KC defense. So I think Kansas City not only covers +1, but I think they win this game. I mean, this could be like a 5-point spread, and I still probably like Kansas City. So I love them +1. So let's take the Chiefs +1. All right, for my lock of the week here this week, I like the New York Jets, who are -3 against Cleveland. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick is actually going to have a pretty decent year this year with, Eric Decker and Brandon Marshall in town. So I like the Jets here to win pretty easily over the Cleveland Browns, because Cleveland I expect even less from on offense than I do from Houston. I mean, Josh McCown's starting over there, who got booted from the Bucks, who were in desperate need of a quarterback last year. He couldn't even stick around there. He's far removed from looking like a superstar that he looked like in a brief span with the Chicago Bears way back when. So I think the Jets cover here easily. Lock of the week is going to be New York Jets -3. All right, and let me give you a little bit of additional stuff here. I am going to give you my DraftKings picks. Now, Billy B gave you his DraftKings picks as well, but he gave you like lineups, right? Like he gave you a set lineup. He said this is the lineup for the week. I don't necessarily think that that's the best way to do it, so I'm going to do it a little bit differently. I'm going to give you guys some players that I think are going to be good this week at the positions, and then you can kind of let that fall where it may for you. This week, I do like in quarterbacks Ryan Tannehill, who is $7,400. I think he's going to torch that Redskins defense. I like Ryan Fitzpatrick as one of those value plays because he's only costing $5,500, so you could really get him cheap, and then you could fill out your roster elsewhere. I also love Sam Bradford this week. And Sam Bradford is, I don't see him on this list I put on here, but I believe he's like 6,900. This game, okay, so the one I clicked here accidentally does not have all of the players listed. So let me go into a different one real quick for you guys. Sorry, we're doing this live. I don't really feel like editing it. So, okay. So let me see if this has them all. I think it might. Okay, so Sam Bradford, 6,900. Sorry about that, guys. Sam Bradford's a great value at 6,900. I think he's going to have a really great game. He looked awesome in the preseason. And finally, we have Tyrod Taylor for the Buffalo Bills, who is actually only 5,000, so it's like really cheap for a quarterback. And I think he could have success against that Indianapolis defense. And frankly, I think Tyrod Taylor looked really good this preseason. So, especially considering you get 6 points for a rushing TD if he rushes one in, and for maybe throws one or two, that could be really big. Now we look over here at running backs. I tend to stick with the top here, Jamal Charles and Matt Forte. You can kind of spend on them. I mean, you got 7,900 for Charles, you got 7,800 for Forte. I'd go ahead and spend the money for them. One of the lineups I like to make multiples, but they're worth spending it because it is PPR here as well, and of course both of them catch a lot of balls. You move down a little bit. I like DeMarco Murray at 6,700 here. Andre Ellington at 6,400 is not bad. Going over against that New Orleans defense that's pretty weak there. Scroll down a little bit further. Lativius Murray, that could be a breakout player who could be pretty cheap at 5,700. I think he's got a lot of potential. Lamar Miller, absolute steal here at 5,500. I mean, that's cheap for a running back. Plus, he catches balls out of the backfield. I think he'll have a pretty decent week this week as well. Giovani Bernard, who does catch some passes as well, 4,700. Doug Martin, an absolute steal, in my opinion, at 4,500. Darren McFadden also you could take a gamble on at 4,400 because he may be the starter there or may get a bulk of the carries. Amir Abdullah, I mentioned earlier, I like him. He's only 4,000, but he's a little bit more risky because you don't know how much work he's going to get. And finally, we have Darren Sproles, who is 3,000. Darren Sproles might be used a lot this year in the slot with Chip Kelly. So if that happens, Darren Sproles looked unstoppable in training camp when I went down there this year. He also looked unstoppable in preseason as well. I mean, he's almost impossible to guard. So if he gets a lot of passes out of the slot, like they're saying he might, well, then he could be a great steal at 3,000. Remember last year, week 1, he also blew up. Okay, we go to the receivers here. I actually don't like, believe it or not, any of the really, really high up guys, the top guys this week. I just don't really necessarily care for the matchups they have. So the first receiver I really like up top is Jordan Matthews at 7,200. I like Brandon Cooks, but not that much. So, I mean, he's a guy that I might put a couple lineups, but I don't like him that much. I like Jeremy Maclin a lot here at 6,900. I actually like DeSean Jackson here at 6,800. Brandon Marshall, I kind of like him too, 6,600. There are some better choices. I like Golden Tate a lot this week at 6,300. Let's see. Who else? Jarvis Landry, great, 5,600. Steal. I put him in a lot of my lineups. Allen Robinson's a tricky one. I don't like him this week necessarily, but he did get a lot of targets in preseason. Blake Bortles looks like he may be progressing along nicely. And let's see, as I scroll through the rest of them here, I should have wrote this down. Maybe next week I will. I like Terrence Williams for the Cowboys. He's only 4,000. That's really, really cheap for a wide receiver. And that kind of rounds out all of my receivers. For tight end, obviously the Thursday night game has already been played, so you can't get Gronk. Too bad. He had an awesome game, as everybody knows. We're looking at Greg Olsen here, right at the top of the list here at 5,300. I do like him. He's going to get a lot of targets with Cam. He's the only familiar target Cam has right now. Travis Kelce gets a lot of targets. I wouldn't really take him this week, though. Scroll down a little bit. I do like Bennet from Chicago. He's only 4,300. I like Jordan Cameron for 3,800. I like Charles Clay for 3,700. And down at value, it's really tough to find value this week for tight ends really late. The furthest I really like to go down this list is really Delaney Walker for Tennessee, who's only 3,400. Finally, for your defense, this week I really like the Seahawks. They are the top-ranked defense this week. They are the most expensive at 3,400. But Nick Foles looked awful in the preseason. Nick Foles looked bad last season. He had a lot of turnovers. He's with a new offense with less weapons and a less innovative offensive coordinator to work with. So everything points to Seattle having a great game. They're going to be angry about that Super Bowl. I think they really romped the Rams here, and I don't think the offense really gets much moving. I definitely take the Seahawks in most of mine. If you look a little bit further down, I do like the Jets defense going against the Browns at 2,900. I think they have some value there. And then, if you really just don't value defense and you really just want to go all the way down the list, you could grab the Eagles. They had a great special teams run last year where they scored like 7 TDs or something, and they had a lot of turnovers as well last year. This year we improved our defense. I am from Philadelphia, wearing the green. So they may actually do really well as well, although Atlanta has a pretty decent offense. So that one's a little bit tougher. But that's what I like this week for DraftKings. That's what I like for my picks. The video is a lot longer than the ones I've done in the past. So if you stuck along this long, thanks. All right, guys. So again, go to Hang with Sean on YouTube if you want to follow along for the rest of the season. If not, it's been a pleasure to give you guys these videos over the last couple of years. Thanks for watching. I'm in Bridgewater's finest territory here at 11 minutes long, but it's worth it, right, guys? All right. Till next week. See you on Hang with Sean, guys. Good luck this week.